Hello, my name is Fred Valles. I'm one of the co-founders of Optmyzr. And I want to thank you for joining me today to take a look at how to get your shopping ads in good shape for the upcoming retail holiday season. So we've got a lot of capabilities in Optmyzr that can help you with that, and that's what we're going to go through today. So hopefully you can all see my screen and hear me okay, but if you have any questions around those logistics, please do use the question box and I'll try to help you as best as I can. Some logistics around this webinar. So we are recording this. So you will all get a copy of this at the end of it. So if you have to leave in the middle, that's okay. We'll send you the video. If you have any friends who want to see this, you can share the video with them as well. We'll be sending that out later today, tomorrow at the latest. If you have any questions, we are here to answer. We even have the engineering team who built a lot of these capabilities on this call. So we should be able to help you with your questions. And also send us your suggestions in the Q&A window. So that's what that's for. Now, if you have a specific one-on-one follow-up you want to do, you want to take a look at some of what I'm going to show you in the context of your own account, just send us an email to support@optmyzr.com, and we're happy to set up a one-on-one follow-up. Also, some of the features I'm going to show are only available in the pro level plan. So if you're on a regular plan, you can just email that same email address, and we'll just do an upgrade to let you play with the tools that I'm showing today, and then you can make a decision if it's something you'd like to continue using. If you would like to meet me or my team in person, we're going to be traveling very soon here in October to London for HeroConf. We'll be at SMX East in New York and PopCon in Las Vegas, where I'm going to be doing a master's training session, as well as some panel sessions to help people do better PPC. And then, of course, if you want to sort of know what's on my mind and see what I'm thinking about, I do have my blog on Search Engine Land. So about once a month, I put out some new content there. So it'd be great if you follow me on that. So that's it for the housekeeping. So do ask questions. But here's the agenda of what I would like to cover today. So we're going to look at building shopping campaigns, keeping them in sync with inventory, brand new feature, how to build smart shopping campaigns. So these are the fully automatic ones from Google. Brand new feature, finding product attributes that drive performance and making really nice visuals around that. And then we're going to take a look at bid management. So how do you change product group bids based on attributes or based on performance data or based on a rule set that you have? We've made that very easy to do, so we'll go through that. We'll also take you through the negative keyword finder for shopping ads. Of course, remember, shopping ads don't have keywords, but they do have negative keywords, so you can do query fencing. So we'll show you how you can do that with Optmyzr. And then we have a brand new feature. It's actually a new product from Optmyzr. It's the Campaign Builder. And I'm going to show you how you can use that to build keyword campaigns from your structured data shopping feed. So everything up until that point will be specific to shopping ads. And then at the end, we'll take a look at how you can take your shopping data and also leverage it to make keyword campaigns. And then when I just tweeted, I said I would have one secret announcement at the end. So there's one more feature that we're currently working on that I should be able to give all of you access to next week if you just send me an email at the end requesting it. And what that feature is, that's for the end. So stick around. All right, so that's the agenda. So let's jump over here into a live demo. Now, as you all know, Optmyzr does connect to AdWords in real time. So I've preloaded many of these things that I want to show you so that we don't have to spend 30 seconds waiting for it to load and make it a little faster. Okay, but so first things first, here you got your MCC dashboard. All of you should be really familiar with that. One thing I did want to point out is that we actually recently added a new column called budget pacing. And so as you go into the holiday season when budgets may be spent a little bit quicker, this is going to be a great column to turn on. So just go into your column picker, choose budget pacing, and hit the save button so that you save that view for the next time. But now, if you look at your budgets and you see here that there's one coming back in red, you no longer have to actually hover over it to know exactly what your budget pace is. Right, so I can still hover over all of these to get a pretty detailed view, but I can also get a quick heads up view right here so that I know perhaps the most concerning account is my earliest time zone. It's only at 84% of pace towards hitting my $100 monthly budget. This is a very small test account, of course, so that's an account I might want to jump into. So I think that's going to be helpful, especially as your shopping campaigns really kick off into Q4. Okay, so that's the first thing. So the next thing I want to show you is the shopping campaign builder. So what we do to get there is we're of course going to jump into one specific account that we have, and then we're going to go into the campaign builder. So that's one of the tools that we have right there. Okay, so and this is about building out the perfect shopping campaign structure. Now, building out a shopping campaign in AdWords is pretty tedious, especially if you want to do it with a decent level of granularity, right? So say that you have a campaign and you want to fill it with product groups based around certain criteria. If it's just a single level, that's pretty easy, right? If I just wanted to do everything by brand, that would take me a couple of minutes in AdWords. But if you wanted to split it by brand, and then followed by custom attribute 0, and then followed by, maybe doing the individual items in individual product groups, having a grid structure. This is complicated in AdWords because now if I have 50 brands, I'd have to open each of these 50 to set the next level of division. And if I have, say, 100 different variations of custom attribute 0, now I have to do 50 times 100, so I have to go into 5,000 places to split it into item ID. And that could take you the whole week, literally the whole week. I've had it take me the whole week. It was horrendous. Here you can just tell us how you want to split it, at what level you want to make ad groups. If you don't see these multiple levels, you can email support. We can turn that on. That's kind of a hidden feature. It's a little bit tricky because, of course, we do have to stay within the limits of how many product groups and campaigns and ad groups AdWords allows. So that's why we might not show that by default to you. Anyway, but so that's how you set up a campaign. And then if you would hit the next button, this is what would come out of it. So we would say, well, we have the following structure, right? So we have, based on the brand, Threadfast Apparel would become an ad group. And then below that, in this case, we've split it by custom attribute 0. And then it tells you for each product group, how many products will be in that. So 971, 135, and then you got your bids right here. Okay, so you could choose any of these. You can double click right there to change your bids. The bids are inherited. So if I go up top here and I change all of my bids to $1, I hit enter, notice all of these have now been updated. But the system is smarter than AdWords in a way. So if I say for Team 365, that should have a much lower bid of 10 cents, put in 10 cents. And now if I go back here and I change this bid to $2, well, we remember that you'd already set a bid that was different for Team 365. So that's going to stick and it's not going to be overwritten by the higher level bid. There's not a ton of bid management I would do on this page. I would set my base level bids and then we'll show you different tools you can use to actually change your bids based on the data when that comes in. A couple other things you should pay attention to. So this was a relatively large feed. It was about 100,000 products that we looked at. Based on the way that you split it, we've been able to put all of your products in defined product groups. That's a good thing. If this was a lower number, that's bad because then you got stuff in the everything else bucket. Everything else is undefined, so you tend to run more generic bids. That's generally not a good thing. It's going to generate 48 new ad groups. Okay, so you get a sense this is not going to overwhelm your account with too many ad groups. 338 new product groups. We probably could have done a split that was a little bit more detailed than this. 338 is not that many. And then this is probably a bit of a concerning number here, but we have 686 average products per product group. That's probably too many. So I might go back and I might add another level of division right here, right? So I can split it further based on something else. By the way, these percentage numbers that you see, this means how many products in the feed have a value for that attribute. So if I were to do my next split based on custom attribute 1, only 8% of my products have a value for that. So 92% would end up in these everything else buckets, right? So that might not be a good structural thing to use. By the way, if you are an agency and you get a feed and you don't really know how your client has set up your feed, you can do a feed analysis. So you can click on that link next to the shopping campaign and the feed, and then we're doing some calculations, so take a second here. But basically, it's going to do a modal pop-up that's going to show you exactly what is inside that feed. Let me see that I clicked that right. So, the joys of live demos, I suppose. This is not currently loading up. So, but if you click that link on your account, it should load up, and it'll actually tell you what kind of values exist in custom attribute 0, for example. So if that was used for color, it would tell you. There we go. So it does show up. So for color, as an attribute, we have 2,457 variations of that attribute. That's probably an indication we're maybe too specific with the color in this feed, so that might be an optimization opportunity. We could look here, we could say custom attribute 2, 39,000 products don't have a value for that, and we're using 4 different values. So it looks like this advertising account is using it for sort of the type of material. So you can really get a better sense of what is in that feed and what you might want to use to do your build out. Okay, and then this is a one-click optimization. So like with everything in Optmyzr, once you're happy with this, hit that button right there. It'll start creating the product groups. If you have a lot of product groups, do give it some time. You can actually walk away from that page. You can shut down that tab. We'll do it in the background, and we can email you once it's done for some of these bigger applies. Okay, now you may have heard about the grip structure. So the grip structure is where we take the structure down to where we have each product group cover exactly one SKU, one item ID. So it'd be something like adding that as the final level on the feed, right? So we'd have to preview it again. I'm not going to do that because it'll take a minute, but that would create a grip structure. So this is a really good way to build out a grip structure if you don't have a structure yet. If you have your existing shopping campaigns and you like the notion of the grip structure, you can build that out. So we have a utility tool, which is create grip structure. So let me run that here. So it'll basically take a look at your campaign. For that campaign that you choose, it's going to look which divisions are not split out to the individual item level, and it'll tell you how you could fix that. And then it's a one-click optimization. So if you approve of it, you can then just run it through, and we'll add that last level of product group division across your entire campaign. So it's a fast way to handle that. So we'll let that crunch here in the background, and I'll try to go on to my next tab. Okay, and it's actually loading up here. So, and by the way, do ask any questions if you have any. Happy to answer on the fly here. But so we're basically saying for the Bella and Canvas ad group, there's 145 products that were not split out into a grip structure. If you want to see what those are, just click on it. You can see the current division. So it's just a product group based around brand, then down to custom attribute level 3. And in the infant category, it looks like there's a whole bunch of product IDs that did not exist. So these are all going to make new product groups within that, under that lowest current level. And that's it, right? So this is exactly what we would be adding. So we can approve that, and then we can say, apply these changes to my account. And that's going to set up the grip structure. Okay, so that's number one. So now you've built out your campaigns, your product groups. You want to maintain these, but here's the thing that happens in AdWords, and I'm sure you're really familiar with this, but the merchant feed is sort of a separate thing from your Google AdWords or Google Ads structure. And that can be a problem because say that you start selling a new brand or a new color of product, or you just change the product titles and you've used some of these attributes as part of your structure. Well, everything that's changed is going to end up falling in the bucket of everything else because Google doesn't know in which product group to place these new things. Now, there's no real reason they couldn't, because they can look at how have you structured things generally and kind of make an assumption about what that means for all the new products. And that's exactly what the shopping refresher from Optmyzr does. So you have your product group refresher here. So I've run it for this shopping account campaign. And so it says for each of these ad groups, how many additional product groups do we need to make and how many could we remove because they no longer seem to be necessary. So let me grab one of these that's a little bit smaller. Okay, so hot pink. So let's take a look at what our tool is suggesting. So our tool has picked up on the fact that the way that these product groups are split is first of all by brand. So this one includes the brand Liberty bags. And then below that, it actually goes directly into the item ID. Okay, and so here we can see there's a number of all of these in the green. These are all new additions we need to make. These in the red are the ones we could remove. And so what looks like may have happened in this case is the advertiser used to just put in the numerical ID. Now they've actually also put in the title of that product in addition to the numerical ID. So that is a change that happened in the feed, but AdWords got confused because AdWords said, well, now these IDs no longer exist, so I don't know what to do about it. this tool from Optmyzr says, well, these are the new IDs. We should have had IDs at this level, so let's put them in. And these that we no longer need, we can exclude. Now, by default, we don't exclude, right? Because these could still come back at some point. It kind of depends on what you're planning to do. But if you do want to remove them in bulk, very easy, just hit that button right there, and then you can approve it right here. So you can go through one by one and do these approvals manually, or you can say, I want to bulk apply all my additions. Okay, so boom, there we go. So we're going to select that, and then it's going to check all the boxes below it and make all these additions. And then once again, it's a one-click optimization, so I can apply these changes from here. Now, if you find this is doing exactly what you need it to do on every time you run this tool, just go ahead and click the button to automate it. Now you can put it on an automation schedule, and we'll take care of it. We'll send you an email. You don't have to worry about anything. And so this is part of your automation credits that you get as part of the Pro plan. If you have super big accounts, you might have to pay a little bit extra. And of course, we'll tell you during the automation setup phase what that cost would be, but it generally would not be super expensive. And so there's a question coming in. So is there a way to refresh the campaigns for the users of the standard version, not the Pro version? So right now we don't do that anymore. So some customers who were legacy customers had access to this tool, but it ends up being very manual. So Jacob, maybe write in to our support team and we can figure out how we can help you get that for your plan. Okay, so but that's the shopping refresher, keeping stuff in sync. So let me go on to the next thing I said I would show, which is brand new functionality. So this is building smart shopping campaigns. Now, smart shopping campaigns, what are these, first of all? So this is AdWords basically saying, listen, you don't need to do all this product group level structuring. Just tell us what are your products. We'll handle the bids using smart bidding. We'll handle showing the ads on YouTube, on the display network, on searches, etc. So basically just tell us your products, tell us your ROAS goals roughly, and we'll go and take care of it. And so that's a good thing. And some advertisers are seeing success. I have heard advertisers from Optmyzr saying if they use our very advanced methodologies, they actually get better results from Optmyzr. But it's a decision about how much work you want to put in, right? So with Google, you basically hand over the reins to them, you're done. With Optmyzr, you're a bit more hands-on. We try to make it really easy and scalable through our tools, but it is still a bit more work. So it just depends what you're selling to your clients. Now, there is one thing about smart shopping campaigns. Google does recommend you actually give them multiple campaigns. So instead of just putting all your products in one shopping campaign, split it out. And that makes sense, right? So this is a merchant. They have two feeds. So here they got a feed with 92,000 products. So could we do something smarter as far as building out a smart shopping campaign? And so in fact, we can. And this is something I believe a lot of you have asked for or may have been thinking about. So why don't we do the grouping of our products, not based around a brand, not based around some other criteria, but maybe based around the current performance? So let's group all of our products around historical return on ad spend so that high performers go to one campaign, low performers go to a different campaign, and then everything in between to different campaigns. So, and that's actually what Google is recommending, because the more you group similar performing items, the better of a job they think they can do, giving you the best results. So that's still very tedious, right? So now you literally have to go through 100,000 products, figure out which one falls in what bucket, manually assign them, right? That's going to take you once again all day, and then you've done it once. And then what happens next week after the performance maybe has started shifting a little bit? So this is the smart campaign build-out. So basically, you give us a number of things that Google is asking. So what's your goal? What kind of budget do you want to put in, so that by default comes out with the budgets that you currently had on shopping campaigns, but you can change these numbers. You can tell us how to group things, right? So I'm recommending you group by return on ad spend, but if you wanted to use some other number, like group my campaigns based around the similarity in price of items, you could do that too. If you want to combine multiple things, you can say do a 2-level split. And now we have a couple suggestions here. But let me keep it simple and do the return on ad spend one. So I've already ran that for this account. So what comes out of it now is it says, well, we should build 9 smart shopping campaigns. These are the standard names we would give them, right? So it gives you a sense there's 9 buckets of return on ad spend. The attribute one will populate that field with the bucket of return on ad spend. So basically what we've done is we've looked through more than 100,000 products in this case, and we found 112,000 products that are basically at a return on ad spend between 0 and 100%, 0 and 1. And then we have 409 products that have a return on ad spend somewhere between 800% and 3,300%. So really profitable products. There's about 409, and these are the historical metrics behind those. And that's based on 540 conversion data points, $12,000 of sales value. So what we've now done is we take your budget, we sort of split it based on the historical spend. So we give you a starting point for assigned budgets, and we give you a starting point for the target return on ad spend. So this is actually the average return on ad spend for these 112,000 products. Google recommends you start with whatever was historically the performance, and then they will try to make it better from here. Okay, so if you want access to this tool, we can give you access next week. You will be able to change the budgets, change the target return on ad spend, change a number of other things here on the page before these campaigns get built out. And then we will give you a supplemental feed. The supplemental feed, you will put that into your AdWords account, your merchant account, and now Optmyzr dynamically will update the values of the attribute we're using to do the structuring. So you don't need to run the shopping refresher. We will update your supplemental feed so that as a product, say a product out of these 112,000, if all of a sudden it becomes really profitable, we'll actually pull it out and we'll put it in the other campaign that's more correct based on its new performance. So items will start shifting around, and that's going to give you better optimization results. Right? So it's using Optmyzr automation on top of Google's smart campaign automation, and so giving you even better performance than if you were just using those individual tools. So that's going to come very soon. So you can just email support@optmyzr.com to get access to that. And a few people coming late. Yes, we are recording this session, so you will get everything you missed up until this point later today. Okay, so that's smart shopping campaigns, right? So interesting thing here, again, we've kind of taken products and we've grouped them by some numerical thing, performance in this case in the account. So could we do something else with this? And in fact, we can. So we've added a new tool, which in this case is an insight. It's a shopping analysis insight. You can find it right here. Now, you choose a campaign, you choose your date range, and then you tell us, how do you want to evaluate what's on this page? So let me actually go ahead and reset this and do something slightly simpler. So numerical value, right? So what if we could actually look at how are my shopping ads performing based on the price of the product? Now, we don't usually ask that question because this is 100,000 products. We might have 80,000 different price points, right? We're not going to look at 80,000 individual things and get any takeaways from that. But what we're going to do is we're going to group these products in a reasonable number of buckets around price, right? So if you have a lot of products between $5 and $7, we might put all of those products together. So what you see here now is a graph of the items based on price compared to number of conversions, sorted by best performers first. So what this tells me is that most of my conversions in this account, 2,200 conversions, came from my cheapest products between $0 and $3. Let's sort this alphabetically for a minute. Okay, so now you can see that cheapest products sell the most. Then there's a bit of a dip here in the $4 to $5 range, and then there's a pickup again in the $5 to $6 range of products. So that's kind of interesting, right? It tells me something about my business I might not have known in the past. Now, what about return on ad spend? Maybe that's more important. So return on ad spend, my best performing price point in my feed is actually between $22 and $23. That has a return on ad spend of $249. Whereas something right here, like between $0 and $3, has a ROAS of 139. So gives me entirely new insights. Now, this is the visualization to kind of help point you in the right direction, but you also have the full table supporting all of this. So shows you the price point, shows you the number of products within that price point, and then these are the stats, the metrics for that. And of course, you can also enable some additional metrics so that you can even start to make bid management decisions, for example. So the thing that was on this page prior was a two-level analysis. So what if I wanted to look at a standard attribute like what's in my feed, such as brand, and then I wanted to compare brand plus price. Okay, so now we're going to do that sort of analysis, 2 levels of depth. So we're basically taking every brand and then splitting that brand by the different price points available for products of that brand. So we're running the analysis, and that's where we have a different visualization. We're still going to show you the table at the bottom, right? So it's just going to be a much bigger table because there's more combinations of things. So A6, we have all of these different price points here. You can see how many products fall within each, and then you have all the stats for all of those. But now we could look at this table here, for example, and let's say we want to once again analyze by return on ad spend. So now return on ad spend is color coded. So we can find stuff that's green, that's really good return on ad spend. So it turns out that Burberry products between $55 and $60 have a really good return on ad spend. Burberry cheaper products, actually not such a good return on ad spend. This is red, right? So much lower return on ad spend. So you can start getting these different insights about your account, about how different price points work, about different return on ad spends. And really, we're trying to give you an insight tool so you can play with this data and hopefully do something interesting with it. So what is that interesting thing that you could do with it? Well, of course, it might be to manage the bids. Now, to be able to manage the bids based on the insights I just showed you, you have to have a GRIP structure, one product per product group, groups of individual products. That's what GRIP stands for, GRIP, groups of individual products. And like I said before, if you don't have that structure, you can go through the utility tool and just build it out for your account. Once you have that, you can go into the shopping attribute bidder, this one right here. And this is what I've already loaded here. So I've said, again, let's do that same analysis based around brand and price point. And now I get a table right here, and I can say, well, show me all of my return on ad spend positive combinations of a brand plus a price point. And so I get this list right here. These are all my profitable ones. Now I can say within the brand of, say, all sports, okay, how many bids do we have? Well, it turns out we currently have 4 bids for these products. So if I wanted to raise all of these bids because these are return on ad spend positive, I could say set my bids to the current CPC plus 10%, update that. And so we update each bid, each of the 4 bids associated with that one bucket of this brand and this price point, which is return on ad spend positive. Of course, you might want to do something more sophisticated than just return on ad spend greater than 100. So you can open up your filters. You can set this to a much higher number. You can save that for reuse later on, or just apply it right here. Okay, now we have a different set of things that match that. Okay, so that's how you can do some bid management using these insights that we've just had. Okay, so the next thing that you can do bid management wise is the much simpler shopping bidder. Okay, so here we're not going to look at attributes, but we're simply going to look at product groups. So we go into manage shopping bids. What this tool does by default, it says, well, which are your return on ad spend positive product groups? So here's that list. There's 902 in this account that have an ROAS greater than 100%. And just like in the last tool, I can just say increase all of these bids by some percentage. You can also put an upper cap on that. So I update that. So my 81 cents now became 89 cents. Very simple. So if I'm happy with that, I can apply my bid changes. If I want to do something a little bit more, I can download that and maybe run it through the editor tool. Okay, so that's basically how that works. So it's a very simple way to do bid management, but it's kind of, we built this tool because it was a visualization that AdWords didn't provide back in the day. Now they have something very similar. So how useful this is really, it kind of depends on which tool you like to use. Now, one thing though is that Bing ads, we do support Bing ad shopping as well, and I haven't really talked about that, but the shopping campaign builder, the shopping campaign refresher, all of these tools work for your Bing ads shopping campaigns as well. So, and one thing that Bing doesn't have is kind of that rolled up product group view. So I'm looking now at that same bidding tool. So this is a shopping, it's a Bing account. So I've gone into manage bids, and now I can say, show me all of my product groups meeting certain criteria or a criteria that I've saved for myself. This is kind of a dummy account, so it doesn't really have data or performance data, but I can do the same thing here. I could change all of my bids in bulk based on some performance. So it's a really nice way to do things a little bit quicker on your Bing Ads shopping accounts. Okay, and then the most sophisticated type of bidding that we can do is really based on rules that you tell us. So this is in the rule engine. So let me start from something relatively simple here. So we're going to go into the rule engine and say we've heard about Kirk Williams. He's a shopping specialist. He writes quite a bit for Search Engine Journal, Search Engine Land. You've seen a lot of conferences, and he actually shared his methodology for managing shopping bids in one of those articles. So what we did is we took that article and we took the rules that he described and we put it into the rule engine. So now anyone can see how would Kirk Williams have managed this account. And Kirk, if you're on the webinar, great to have you here. But so this is what Kirk would have done. Based on this shopping account, he would have changed these bids. And now, of course, if you wanted to understand why he would be doing something like this, you can go into the full rules. So the way you get to these rules and how you can customize them is you open up the full rule engine. So this is the rule that we just ran. So what is this rule doing? Okay, well, it's looking at these criteria, and if these criteria for a product group are met, then this is the action we're going to take. Now, what's nice is this is what Kirk described as his methodology, but if you say, hey, we could do one better, we can actually make it a little bit more sophisticated, you can just edit any of these settings. So, you can look at different metrics, segments, names, attributes from Google Ads. If you were looking at conversion data, you're not just limited to conversions or all conversions. You can actually look at conversions by category, or if you've named your conversions very specifically, like I've seen people with 20 different custom conversions, those will all show up in here. So you can do really, really advanced stuff. You can change the device type that you're looking at. You can change the look back window you're using. Even if we're looking at product group level bids, you could say, well, actually, I want to know what was the average conversion rate from the campaign that this product group sat in. So you can change your entity level. So, so really a lot of stuff you can do here to tweak this and make it all that much more useful. So of course, after you've done all of this, you can save it, and now it becomes available directly out of your menu right here. So you don't have to go through all of this setup, but you set it up once, and then you can just run it from right here. All of these things, these rule engine rules, you can also put on an automation schedule so that if you really like them and you feel like I don't even have to review it, just tell us how often to automate it and we'll handle it for you. Now, the most advanced scenario for the rule engine is that you do something based on like margin data. So AdWords often talks about optimizing your conversion value, but really what we all care about is profits, right? So are we actually passing the profit value to Google or the value of the shopping cart? Well, most people pass the shopping cart's value, but you have the merchant feed, so you know what are your margins, what are your profits for each of these products that you sell. So what you can do is you can connect your own external data. So just go ahead and click Add to bring in some external data. And we fetch that data through a Google spreadsheet. So you can maintain a Google spreadsheet, tell us the URL to that spreadsheet. You keep updating that spreadsheet. You can do that programmatically or you can do it manually. But every time the rule engine runs, it says, hey, let's go and take a look at what's on that spreadsheet, what data we have for certain product groups for the campaigns that they live in. And those data points can now be brought in to the bidding methodology. So where currently you have things like everything from AdWords that you can change, we would actually have a new bucket of things here that came off of that spreadsheet. So now you can bring your external data into this bidding logic to make changes into AdWords. So it makes it really powerful. We've even seen people use this to do bidding by weather, where they basically tie into a weather API, automatically updates with the current conditions for the locations of the campaign that the campaign is targeting. And then it makes changes based on that, right? So that's one example. Margin data is another one that we've seen. But the sky's really the limit once you can start plugging in your data into this decision rule engine. Okay, so we're getting close to the end here, but wanted to show you query fencing, right? So again, shopping ads, they don't have keywords, but they do have negative keywords. So we have a tool here. It falls under the shopping optimizations as well. So it's going to be your negative keyword finder. Now, what we've done is we've analyzed when the same query happens across different ad groups. Okay, so something like youth tank tops, we recommend you make that a negative keyword. Okay, why do we recommend you make it a negative keyword in this particular ad group? Well, it turns out that when people type in youth tank tops, your ads show from multiple locations. So I can click on the eye and it actually tells you the multiple places that show ads for this query. Now, it turns out that the conversion rate is significantly better when you show a product from Bella and Canvas versus LAT. So for that reason, we say we might as well get rid of it in the underperforming ad group. So that's why we recommend making a negative keyword for it. So that's exactly the methodology we do here. And you can click on the eye next to any of these keywords to fully understand where the data is coming from. And once you get comfortable with the methodology, you can just say, wow, okay, looks good to me, just apply it and make these negative keywords in my account. So that's how you can do query fencing with negative keywords for shopping campaigns. Okay, so there's another thing I want to show. So this is now shifting away from shopping campaigns into keyword campaigns. So you have your merchant feed. It has product data, has attributes like color, size, product type, etc. What if we could take that structured data, automatically turn it into campaigns, keywords, ad groups, etc. So I've already set up an example. It's an e-commerce example right here. This is a brand new tool from Optmyzr, by the way. So this is the Campaign Builder. If you're interested in it, we can talk to you more about it. It is a separate subscription, but it's very powerful, so I wanted to show it to you anyway. So basically what we're doing here is we're saying we have an external data source. So that data source could be a spreadsheet, could be FTP, could be API. We'll basically figure out how to connect to the data that you have and that you want to use. What we've done is once we got the spreadsheet, we pulled out all of the elements of the spreadsheet. And so what you'll recognize here is these are your Google merchant feed attributes by and large. And you can scroll through these as well. So now how we use this is we can say, how should we set up new campaigns? So I can either use existing campaigns, but more interestingly, I can create new campaigns on the fly. And I want to make my campaigns based on the combination of the brand plus the product type. So how do I do that? Well, I type a squiggly bracket, and then we open up a list of everything that's available off of your feed. So I can start typing, and it says, okay, brand is available, put in a space between it, and then I do product type. And so then I get to put in some values for budget, shared budgets, location targeting, negative keyword lists, etc. Now that I've defined my campaigns, I can go one step deeper. So now I can say which ad groups should I make within these campaigns. And once again, what I'm doing is I'm just literally pulling data off of the data source that I have, right? So, you know, I might do something around availability. So I put that in right there. But what I've done in this example is it's going to be brand, product type, size, color, and gender. That's going to be my ad group name. My keywords are going to be size plus color plus product type. Let's actually go ahead and make this an exact match keyword. And then what do my ads need to look like? So I've already put in an ad here, but once again, all I'm doing is I'm combining insertion parameters. So from the spreadsheet, I'm pulling the link to the product. That's going to be my final URL. My headline is going to read buy men's t-shirts, basically through insertion. Can also do call only ads, and I have a default fallback ad in case my dynamic ad is too long. I can go into inventory. So now you could also do something where you say, I only want to run an ad for something if, say something like price. Yeah, so say like my sale price, if my sale price numerical was greater than some value, only then do I want to run ads. And so you can make this a condition for just simply not running ads if something doesn't meet a criteria, or you can use it to run different templates. So if you had really like luxury brands, you might run a different ad template, ad group template for that. So you can use all of these filters to kind of set up those criteria. So let me save that without an inventory filter. So then what I do is I preview this to see what will come out of it. I believe I've already run it. So here basically we said, well, we looked at 303 rows, all of them matched. We're going to have to create 86 campaigns, 149 ad groups, et cetera, et cetera. And then here's a preview for 2 campaigns. So one of the campaigns would be Team 365 jacket. We would have the following ad groups, which also include the size, the color, et cetera. And I can click on any of these to see exactly what keywords would be in it and what ads would be in it. So buy males jackets, available in XS. Right. So, and now you might look at this and be like, oh, well, you know, we need to change something, or we have a special promotion. So all you do in that case is you come back here, you tweak your templates, and then you run it again. And this can then be put onto an automation schedule so that we're always running your current promotions, always showing ads for the things you actually sell. And it's very easy to change a massive account on the fly. So I think this fits somewhere between manually generated keyword campaigns and DSAs, dynamic search ads. So this is kind of a way to take more control based on templates that you think you should be running, but still put that on automation so you're not spending days and days building these things out manually. Okay, so one more thing that I promised. So this is not related to shopping ads, but we do have a new utility that you can try next week if you send us an email, and we'll help you create responsive search ads more quickly. There's a little typo in there, but we'll fix that by next week. So, but with responsive search ads, they're cool because you can put in multiple headline variations, multiple description variations, and then Google will figure out what's the best one for each user. Now, where it's actually kind of painful is you have to do this one ad group at a time. If you open up the builder from Google, they don't really recommend anything. They basically give you a blank slate and they say, hey, give us 15 headlines and 4 descriptions, go at it, right? Do that once per ad group. Well, if it was me, that's going to take me again all day. So why don't we look at your existing ads and deconstruct them? So if you already have an ad, why not take the 2 headline variations you have and at least start you off with that? So we're going to start with that. And so for the first ad group here, you were using 2 variations of the headline, 2 variations of the description. You know, one is too long here, so we could go and fix that, but let's skip that. So let's look at another. So this is my next ad group. It was using 4 headlines, 4 descriptions. So this is a much better shape to be applied across the board. Now, if I said create, refresh, optimize, you know, maybe that doesn't really stand alone very well. So we can do a replacement, so maybe we put a period at the end of that. And now we're going to replace all the occurrences in all of the unapproved ads. We approve that. So anywhere this text showed up, that's going to be changed in bulk. We can also add new headlines. We can do that in bulk. So we can say add some new headline components, but add it to all 10,000 ad groups that we're going to have to go through. So it significantly speeds up all of the work. So here I could approve these ads. And then at the end of the process, you would also be able to bulk approve everything that's still outstanding. And then you can just say, hey, go and apply it to AdWords. And now you got responsive search ads running everywhere. Obviously, the point is then going to be to start optimizing these because you haven't really manually built them out. So you haven't put that much thought into it. But it gives you a starting point. Now the data can start coming in. And based on that, you can actually make some good changes to your account. So hopefully that's going to be a time saver now that Google's trying to make us do responsive search ads. So with that, I will wrap it up and I will open up the floor for any questions we still have. I get out of full screen, and so I'll show you again what we just covered. So take a screenshot of that if you wanted to remember kind of the different things I've showed you to do. And then if you have any questions or need access to any of this, just email support@optmyzr.com and we'll do our best to help you out. So that's how to get shopping ads ready for the upcoming shopping retail season. Thank you so much for joining. Anyone who's got to go, thank you. I'll stick around a couple more minutes for anyone who still wants to ask questions.